And this is Mrs. Ball reviewing our social studies skill and assignment. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so in our packet, there is an assignment entitled Horses, Carriages, and Wagons. And so it starts off with a picture that looks like this. There's a passage that is going to be read aloud to you, as well as questions that we're going to discuss and answer correctly. Okay? Many years ago, people used horses to get from one place to another. Sometimes people rode on the backs of the horses. Other times, horses were used to pull carriages. The carriages carried people where they wanted to go. The roads were made mostly of dirt. The ride was bumpy, but the people got where they wanted to go. When people wanted to move things, they used wagons. The wagons carried food, milk, ice, and other things. Horses pulled the wagons too. A driver held the reins and guided the horses. That was long ago. Today, some people still use horses, carriages, and wagons, but now many people use trains, cars, and planes. All right, number one, what animal did people use to pull carriages and wagons? A, dogs, B, horses, or C, cows? You can refer back to the passage, or you can also look at the picture. It is B, horses. So the answer is B. Number two, the passage describes how people traveled from one place to another. When did people use horses to get from one place to another? A, in the past, meaning long ago. B, in the present, happening now. Or C, in the future, what will happen later on. So people used horses, A, in the past. We rarely see people using horses now, and we don't know what the future may bring, but I can predict that with technology advancing, that it probably will not be horses. Number three, when people wanted to move things, they used wagons instead of carriages. What does this information teach us about wagons? A, wagons are smaller than carriages. B, wagons and carriages are almost the same. Or C, wagons have more space than carriages. So when they wanted to move things, they used a wagon instead of a carriage. So what can we learn about this? I would say that C, wagons have more space than carriages. So if they wanted to move things, they used wagons. So the answer is C. Number four, what is horses, carriages, and wagons mostly about? Is it about A, how people traveled in the past, B, how horses helped people in the past, or C, the oldest roads in America? Well, C doesn't make any sense because we barely talked about the roads in America. In fact, we didn't mention it at all. So we have two choices, A and B. A, how people traveled in the past, or B, how horses helped people in the past. Hmm, it's about how A, people traveled in the past. Number five, what do most people use to travel now? Well, let's go back to our last sentence, okay? Today, some people still use horses, carriages, and wagons, but now many people use trains, cars, and planes. So, what do people use to travel now? Trains, cars, and planes. Okay, now this also went along with our assignment, and this title of this passage is Telephones, Then and Now. And this is a picture of an old telephone. The telephone was invented many years ago. Long ago, all telephones were as big as a lunchbox. They had to stay on a table or wall. Telephones had only one purpose. They were used to speak to other people. Today, many people use cellular phones. Cellular phones can be smaller than your hand. They can be moved anywhere. These phones can do many things. You can use them to send text messages. You can use them to take photographs. You can use them to play games. There is something else you can use cell phones to do. You can still use them to speak to other people. So, number one, When were telephones invented? A, in the past, meaning long ago. B, in the present, right now. Or C, in the future. Well, we know C doesn't make any sense, so we can eliminate that answer. So we have two choices. Were they invented A, in the past, or B, in the present? In the past, it was already invented long ago. Number two, what is being compared in this passage? So we're comparing two things. When we compare, we talk about how they are alike and how they are different. So let's look at letter A. Text messages and picture messages. We mentioned that, but that's not the answer. B, early telephones and cell phones. I'm thinking about that one. Let's put a star by that one. Or a C, cordless telephones and cell phones. We didn't mention cordless telephones at all. So the best and the answer is B, early telephones and cell phones. So we're talking about the old phones or the early telephones when they were first invented, and cell phones, what we have now. Number three, cellular phones are very different from the first telephones, but they do have one thing in common. What part of the passage shows us how cellular phones and telephones are the same? A, cellular phones can be smaller than your hand. Well, we know that the first telephones were as big as a lunchbox, so we know that's not the answer. B, these phones can do many things. Well, the only thing those big phones could do was talk. Or C, you can still use them to talk to other people. Can you talk on a cell phone? Yes. And could you talk on an early telephone? Yes. So the answer is C. Number four, what is telephones then and now mostly about? A, how phones from the past are different from cellular phones. B, what you could do with telephones in the past. Or C, how people speak to other people. So what is it about? A, it's talking about how phones from the past are different from cell phones or cell phones that we have today. And even our title suggests that telephones then, in the past, and now. And number five, what does the passage say you can do with a cell phone? With a cell phone, you can. Well, let's go back and look. Let's see. Cellular phones can be smaller than your hand. It's talking about the size. They can be moved anywhere. These phones can do many things. You can use them to send text messages. So that's that sentence here. Take photographs or pictures. You can use them to play games. Okay, so those are the things that you can do with a cell phone. All right. Thank you. I hope that you have completed this assignment either in your packet or you have submitted it on Schoology. We'll see you next time.